this is Ashley with Ashley Says So, and I am back with another old Hollywood scandal video, and today we're gonna kind of just jump right in it, because what the heck happened with Bill Cosby? I mean, seriously, how did this man go from America's dad to now sitting up in the corner quiet, not saying a mumbling word? Child, the fall from grace is real. Let's go ahead and talk about it, because you know it's gonna be a scandalous thing, child, after this disclaimer. So y'all know my disclaimer, all of my videos are for entertainment purposes. Everything in them is rumor, gossip, and scandal that I get from books, word of mouth, on TV, anywhere I can find it. On this particular video, I need to add that there are also several conspiracy theories on this video. I do not know what is true or false. Let's get to it. William Henry Cosby Jr. was born on July the 12th, 1937 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His mother's name was Anna Pearl Cosby, and his father's name was William Henry Cosby Sr. And on top of William, or I'm going to start calling him Bill at this point, but on top of Bill, the Cosbys were said to have at least 3 more younger sons. Now, as far as I saw, Bill and his brothers seemed to have a very happy and normal childhood. Bill attended school all the way up through college and was actually a great success at track and field in high school and in college. After he left college, it's said that he went immediately on to pursue his stand-up comedy career. And while doing that, he ended up meeting his sweetheart, a lady by the name of Camille Hanks, and he ended up marrying her in the year 1964. Now, Camille ended up giving Bill 4 children in their marriage, and from there on out, Bill Cosby did become a hugely successful comedian in the 1960s. Now, by the 1970s or the mid-1970s, his star was kind of falling a little bit, but he ended up doing a commercial about some pudding pops, or however he be saying that mess. But anyways, did a commercial about pudding pops, and everybody loved it so much that he was able to parlay that pudding pop character into America's favorite dad. And when I say that, yes, I am talking about the very successful Cosby Show. Now, the Cosby Show was much needed in the world because it gave Black people something to look forward to, someone to look up to, and it also changed the perception of Black people to the rest of the world. Now, from here on out, we could talk about Bill Cosby's accomplishments in TV and film and his accomplishments with what he did with the Black culture. But if you know Bill Cosby already, then you mostly already know those accomplishments. And if you don't know those accomplishments, baby, there are plenty of documentaries and biographies and everything else that you can find that are singing Bill Cosby's praises to the moon. But here on this channel, baby, we ain't talking about no doggone accolades. We ain't talking about no achievements. Honey, we talking about the scandal, child. The scandal. Now let's get to it. So unless you've been living under a rock, you and your mama and everybody else know about the scandalous things that happened with Bill in 2014 and 2015 when all of these women came out to accuse him of assault. Well, what you probably didn't know is that Bill Cosby probably had at least 2 or 3 big scandals way before those scandals even came up. In fact, a lot of his earliest scandals had to do with his cheering, aka children for the proper folk. But anyway, the very first scandal that ever popped up on Bill Cosby was alleged to be involving his daughter, ERINN Cosby. Let me tell you about it. Now, according to rumor, ERINN Cosby, who was born in 1966, had developed a drug problem by the time she got to middle school. And at that time, it probably was marijuana or something like that. But allegedly, by the time she got to college, it was a severe drug problem and she was on hard drugs. Well, honey, with Bill and Camille acting so upright and so holier than thou, child, they were just about losing their mind when it came to ERINN. But Bill made sure that whatever was going on with his daughter was handled as a private family matter. He didn't want anybody in the public to know about his daughter's problems. That is until it came time to cover up his problems. And these folks said that in the late 1980s, Bill Cosby and Sammy Davis Jr. were touring and doing comedy shows together. And one of the places they were doing it at was in Las Vegas. Well, allegedly, after several, or maybe even after every show they did in Las Vegas, Bill and Sammy were said to have taken showgirls into the back hotel room and performed group sex with these girls. And I ain't talking about no two-man, well, one couple go in another bedroom and another couple go in this bedroom. No, child. The folks say that Bill and Sammy was in the bedroom naked, sitting up there together, messing with these women, on the bed together. Well, in the midst of all of this fun and doing too much, gossip claims that somebody ended up calling a newspaper and snitching on Bill Cosby. And most likely it was one of those showgirls who basically had decided to kiss and tell. Well, however the story got back to the newspapers, the first thing they did was call Bill Cosby and tell him, hey, Mr. Cosby, we got a story about you and Sammy Davis Jr. in the back bedroom doing things with showgirls, First, we want to ask you if it's true. And then secondly, we want to ask you, what do you have to say about that? Can you give us any detail? Well, rumor has it Bill Cosby at first told the newspapers, that's ridiculous, and no, it's not true, and hung up. But then his behind thought about it and started panicking because obviously there was a leak. So Bill knew whoever was telling the business had already told the newspaper all the details anyway. So, the newspaper was going to publish that story with or without Bill Cosby saying it was true. So gossip claims that he ended up calling the newspaper back and telling them, hey guys, I know y'all want to print that story about me, but guys, I got a story even better than that. I got a real juicy story for you. Baby, they said Bill Cosby started telling all his daughter ERINN's business. Said that he told the newspapers she was a drug addict, that she was the worst child he ever had, she was selfish, that he didn't trust her around the family. Baby, he was saying everything he could about ERINN, throwing his daughter right up under the bus to save his own skin. And honey, after hearing all this doggone tea, baby, the newspaper said, bet, Mr. Cosby, we got a deal. And so they printed all of this information about Bill Cosby's daughter. And so ERINN Cosby is sitting over there mortified. As a matter of fact, it is alleged that this right here caused a huge rift between ERINN and her father, Bill Cosby. And that rift lasted for years. But what about the second scandal involving Bill Cosby's children? The folks say that the young lady in this story was not Bill Cosby's main child, but allegedly she was his love child. Now, the young lady that was claiming herself to be Bill Cosby's love child was a young lady by the name of Autumn Jackson. And according to Bill himself, he met Autumn's mother, a woman by the name of Shawn Thompson Upshaw, in the year 1974. And Bill was immediately attracted to this young lady, and so they ended up having an affair. And I suppose they were seeing each other pretty regularly because soon Shawn ended up pregnant. And so rumor has it that at first Bill Cosby tried to deny Autumn Jackson, but the story says that Shawn Upshaw told Bill that she disagreed. She hadn't been with anybody else, and Autumn was his child. And so Bill knew that this lady was not playing any game, and she most likely would go public. Well, Bill was of course married, so there was no way that he would want any kind of information about an illegitimate child to get out into the public. So rumor has it that Bill set up a deal with Shawn. He would pay her $2,000 a month as well as take care of any child expenses if she would just raise Autumn by herself and keep everything quiet. And the folks say that Shawn Upshaw agreed to this arrangement, and everything was going well until Autumn went off to college, because Autumn didn't like college, and so she ended up leaving college. And as soon as she did, all of the support from Bill Cosby got cut off. And so Autumn is like, Dad, why would you cut me off? I need that money and all that good stuff. And baby said Bill told her, first of all, nothing was proven. I don't think I'm your daddy anyway. And then second of all, even if you were my child, I'm not taking care of no child that won't go to college. Well, allegedly this infuriated Autumn Jackson. And so she told Bill Cosby that she was going to let the world know, as well as his wife Camille, that, she was his outside child. Matter of fact, the only way he could stop her from telling is if he paid her $40 million. And honey, why did that girl say something crazy like that? The folks say that immediately Bill Cosby came clean to his wife Camille. He also contacted the FBI and he told the FBI what was going on and basically told them that this girl, Autumn Jackson, was trying to extort him, blackmail him. Well, when the FBI stepped in, allegedly the first thing they wanted Bill Cosby to do was to take a paternity test to prove that he was not Autumn's father. The folks say that when the FBI was trying to send Bill to their doctors, he said no, he didn't want to do that. But what he did do was go to his own personal doctor and he took a blood test there. And that blood test came back as negative. Now, many people, including Autumn Jackson and her family, felt like Bill Cosby faked that blood test, that he used somebody else's blood. But no matter what those people thought, the negative blood test was good enough for the FBI. Because see, now they could just paint Autumn Jackson off as some deranged kind of stranger that was trying to blackmail Bill Cosby for $40 million. And that's pretty much exactly what they did. In fact, they played their case so well and Autumn Jackson played her case so wrong that the FBI gathered up enough evidence and she was allegedly sentenced to 20 years in prison for blackmail or extorting Bill Cosby. And this whole thing was said to have gone down in 1997. 1997 was a terribly hectic year for Bill Cosby because it's also the year that his son, Ennis Cosby, was unalived. And I'm going to discuss Ennis's death a little bit right here because some people in the conspiracy world feel like his death was not what it seemed. Let's talk about it. Now, according to the official public version of the story, on January the 16th, 1997 at 1:00 a.m., Ennis Cosby was headed down a California highway headed to his girlfriend Stephanie Crane's house. But on the way to Stephanie's house, he ended up having a blowout with his tire, or the tire went flat, and Ennis pulled over on the side of the highway. Gossip claims that when he pulled over, he took out his cell phone and he called Stephanie and he told her, "Hey baby, I was on my way to your house, but I have a problem with my tire, so I'm on the side of the highway. Can you come out here with me?" And allegedly that's what Stephanie did. She gets there to Ennis and she takes her car and she positions her car or parks her car behind Ennis's car so she could kind of shine her headlights while he's out there fixing on the tire. Well, I guess nowhere in this story did Autumn end up getting out of the car. She just kind of sat in there the whole time and just kind of watched Ennis doing what he was doing, because she said while she was sitting there, a man came up to her window and boom, hit her window and told her, "Lady, open this door, because if you don't, I'll harm you." And this threat was so terrifying to Stephanie Crane, baby, she forgot all about doggone Ennis. Honey, she put her doggone car in drive and took off. Baby, that girl said the only time the Ennis came back into her doggone mind is when she was halfway down the road and she ended up hearing a gunshot. That is when she turned her car back around to go check on Ennis, and she found him lying in the highway unalived with a bullet to the head. When the cops get on the scene, Stephanie tells her story. The cops do an investigation and they ended up fingering the guy who did it, and his name is Michael Markasev. Now, when it came to why Michael did this to Ennis Cosby, he said the motive was robbery, but he didn't take anything. Ennis still had a Rolex watch on his arm. He still had his wallet in his pocket. And then what's even crazier than that, he had walked past several wealthy neighborhoods with wealthy cars sitting in the driveway and walked past everything until he got into the middle of the highway where Ennis was and just decided to rob Ennis. But like I said, it ended with Ennis unalived and Michael not actually robbing him of anything. Regardless though, Michael was locked up. He was given life without parole and an open and shut case according to public record. But it wasn't an open and shut case to everybody. You see, allegedly, according to former LAPD policeman Gary 1, Michael Markasev wasn't the only one who should have been in jail. Gary 1 alleged that Michael might have pulled the trigger on Ennis, but he said that Ennis Ennis's girlfriend, Stephanie Crane, might have been the one that set it up. Child, listen here. All of this is alleged. I'm just telling you what this former policeman for the LAPD said. There are articles on it online. This is not me saying it. This is what he said. And I'm just telling you about this theory that he had. But to continue going, the reason Gary 1 allegedly felt like this about Stephanie Crane is because he claimed that there was a source that came up to the LAPD and told him this pretty much. Matter of fact, let me tell you exactly what the source allegedly told Gary. The source told Gary Ennis did have a flat tire and had to pull over on the side of the road, and he did call Stephanie. But allegedly, she was not alone. That Michael guy was at Stephanie Crane's house, because what was supposed to happen is that when Ennis arrived at the house, this guy, Michael, was supposed to allegedly assassinate Ennis inside of Stephanie's home. And so when Ennis asked Stephanie to come out to the highway with him, allegedly she and the killer, Michael Markasev, got in the car together. And when they got to where Ennis was, Michael jumped out of the car and assassinated Ennis. And then he jumped back into the car with Stephanie Crane, and she drove him away from the scene, dropped him off, and then she turned around to come back to the scene so she could be standing there when police arrived. Now, for the people who believe this theory, they feel like the hit was due to something dealing with Bill Cosby, but they can't pin down a reason why somebody would want to do this because of Bill Cosby. Like, they can't pin down a reason, like if Bill Cosby owed somebody some money, or Bill Cosby bucked his so-called handlers. If you do a deep dive, things do get kind of strange. You know, they do get kind of muddy and kind of murky, but I'm definitely not gonna talk about any of that on this video. So let's move on. And now we're moving on into the scandals that involve Bill and only Bill. It's time to get to these claims of abuse against him and get into how it started and maybe even find out why it started. And I'm not sure if all of you guys have watched my Hugh Hefner video already, but according to gossip and rumor, Bill Cosby and Hugh Hefner were very close friends. So there are plenty of rumors about Bill Cosby messing with women when it was dealing with Playboy. But gossip claims Bill Cosby's behavior or alleged assault started happening way before even that time. The first case of alleged assault was in the year 1965, and the victim's name was Christina Ruelle. And per Christina, she was 22 years old in the year of 1965, and she was working at a talent agency. She said that Bill Cosby showed up at this agency for a meeting, and while he was passing her, he noticed her, and so he decided to stop and flirt. Christina claims that during this conversation, Bill ended up inviting her to his home, but when she got there, there was nobody there but her and him. She said eventually Bill took her by the hand and took her upstairs, and she saw a little baby laying in a crib, and he was telling her, you know, this is my child. Well, anyway, Bill and Christina coo, ooh, and ah over the baby, and then they end up going back downstairs, and then he ends up giving her something to drink. Christina takes a few sips of that drink, and then she ends up blacking out. She says she doesn't know what time she ended up waking up, but when she woke up, allegedly there was meat in her mouth. And I'm not sure if Christina got to chewing thinking it was leftover steak or something, and Bill Cosby got to hollering. I don't know how she found out that it was Bill Cosby's meat, but it was. And when Christina finally came to the realization of what was really in her mouth, she started gagging and almost vomiting, and she ran into the restroom. Once she finally sorted herself out, she left the restroom and started looking for Bill Cosby, but Bill Cosby was nowhere to be found, and she never saw Bill Cosby ever again. The next lady to accuse Bill Cosby was a lady by the name of Sunny Wells, and she said that Bill assaulted her sometime in the mid-1960s. She actually met Bill Cosby at a bar, and they ended up back at his house where he also offered her a drink, and she also ended up blacking out. Sunny went on to say that when she finally woke up, she didn't have any clothes on. And unfortunately for Sunny, her story was one of the first ones that made some of the public look at her with a side eye. Because when the investigators wanted to know, what Sunny did next, Sunny basically answered by saying that she went home with Bill Cosby again. She chilled with him, talked to him, and had drinks with him. And once again, she blacked out. And this time she woke up again with no clothes on. But Sunny said this time when she woke up with no clothes on, like that's when the realization kind of set in that, okay, this man is doing this to me. And like I said, unfortunately, people kind of look at her with a side eye. But being young at 22 years old, there's so many different scenarios as to why she could have responded the way she did. Now, the reason I chose this next woman that I'm about to talk about is because her story made people give Camille Cosby the side eye. And I'm talking about the story of Carla Ferrigno. Now, this happened in the year 1967, and per Carla, she was on a date with a young guy when he told her that Bill Cosby was having a party that night and maybe they should go. And so she and her date go to Bill Cosby's house for this party, but when they get there, Carla sees that the only people at this house party is Bill and his wife Camille and her date. But Carla ain't tripping. She's just like, hey, I guess this party is just a double date with Bill and his wife. But she said in the midst of this double date party, she sat and watched as Camille and her date walked over to the side of the house and then eventually left the house. And so it was just her and Bill sitting there alone. And immediately Bill came over to her, trying to flirt with her, touch on her, kiss her, all of that. Well, Carla is like, wait, hold on. First of all, where is my date? Better yet, where is your wife? And she says the whole time she's doing this, Bill is like, listen, don't worry about my wife. Don't worry. This is how we have fun. Just drink this. It'll calm you down. Well, Carla apparently was a smart cookie because she did not end up drinking the drink. And instead, she demanded that Bill Cosby call her date and make him come back because she was ready to go. And according to the story, that's exactly what happened. So what I want to get back to is the obvious glaring thing in this story. What was up with so-called Camille leaving Bill there with this Carla girl and leaving off with the other guy? It definitely brought questions did she know her husband was kind of doing this predatory stuff with women? Or at the very least, did she allow her husband to kind of sleep with other women while she looked the other way? And some real messy folks was wondering, was Camille a swinger as well? You know what I'm saying? Did she leave to go off with that other date so she and that other date could go mess around while Bill messed around with Carla? Or was it totally innocent and she had just left going with that other guy, just to go? What do you guys think? Now, the next story I want to bring up is about a young lady named Victoria Valentino. And she was said to be a Playboy bunny. And honey, her story with Bill Cosby kind of turns your stomach a little bit. And that is because Victoria claimed that in the weeks before she met Bill Cosby, she had lost her 6-year-old son to a drowning accident. And she said that on the day that she met Bill Cosby, she was out at some sort of function with a friend just trying to get cheered up, but she was still very sad. In fact, she was allegedly crying at the table when Bill Cosby walked up. Per one version of the story, Bill asks Victoria what's going on with her, and she explains that her 6-year-old son passed away recently, and she's just grieving the process of that. And so allegedly, Bill acts all concerned and torn up about this, and so he tells Victoria that he's going to pay for her and her friend to have a spa date, and also after that, for them to have a dinner date. And he tells her to go home and maybe get a change of clothes. I'm not sure what she had to do, but he ended up sending the limousine by her house to pick her and her friend up. They do go to the spa, and then they end up going to the steakhouse where they were having dinner. And then Bill Cosby walks into the steakhouse. Per Victoria, she is once again sitting there with tears streaming down her face, crying, thinking about her son. Well, it was at this point that she says that Bill says, oh, baby doll, cheer up. Matter of fact, take this. Here goes a pill. It's a happy pill. And so Victoria takes this pill, and so does her friend. Bill's limo comes back around to pick Victoria and her friend up, but Bill gets into the car with them. And Victoria claimed that it was while they were driving home that she and her friend blacked out. She ended up waking up at a strange office and her clothes were all disheveled, and she looked to the side and she saw Bill Cosby on top of her friend assaulting her friend. And I actually don't know the end of this story. I don't know what happened after that, but is that not disturbing, y'all? This woman is sitting over there crying, grieving over her child she just lost. And if the allegations are true, Bill came over here to try to drug and assault this woman, and she was grieving over her child's death. I mean, have you ever heard anything like that? This next story happened in 1974, and this girl's name was Judith Hull. And Judith Hull claimed that on the day that she met Bill Cosby, she was actually walking around the studio property on the lot and just going around to different sets, and she wandered into a set that Bill Cosby was on. Allegedly, Bill immediately struck up a conversation with the girl, and then she says he offered her some pills and something to drink, and Jennifer took them, and then Bill took her to the Playboy Mansion. And she said that Bill told her, hey, if anybody asks you how old you are, just tell them you're 19. So that is what Jennifer does, but she says that Bill gets her into a back room and then put his member in her hand, and then like basically took her hand with his and, you know, did the things to his member until he gets to the top O. And if I'm not mistaken, Judith Hull may have been one where it happened to like more than one. And this last assault I want to bring up is one of the worst ones, and her name was Charlotte Fox. And Charlotte Fox said her assault also took place in 1974, and she was only 23 years old. She was working on the set of the movie Uptown on a Saturday Night, which is a movie that Bill Cosby starred in. Now, Charlotte says one day after shooting wrapped, she ended up going to a black jazz club. And this club was all about empowering young black actors and actresses in Hollywood at the time. Well, on this particular night, Bill Cosby walked into the club. And she said he proceeded to talk to her and flirt with her and her friend. And then he told them that he was hosting a party at the Playboy Mansion and they were invited. And Charlotte says she and her friend were ecstatic. They just knew they were going to meet all type of movie executives, you know, directors. Pretty much they thought somebody was about to turn them into the next Foxy Brown. So Charlotte and her friend go to the Playboy Mansion, but when they get there, there is no party. As a matter of fact, it is just Bill and them. And then Bill has the chef to prepare a very nice dinner for the girls. And Charlotte does say that she remembers that Hugh Hefner kind of peeked around the door and told everybody hey and introduced himself, and then he left. Well, right after Hugh Hefner left, Charlotte said the room started spinning and she started getting dizzy. Of course, she blacked out very soon after that. She said that when she woke up, she wasn't sure of where her friend was, but she was laying in the bed with no clothes on. And then when she looked at the foot of the bed, she said Bill Cosby was crawling up on top of her. So she just froze, and Bill allegedly assaulted her. Well, Charlotte says Bill did what he wanted to do, and then he got up and he ended up leaving out of the room. She got up and started scrambling to put her clothes on, and as soon as she did, she ran out of the bedroom. Bill was nowhere to be found. She said that the next time that she went on the movie set to shoot a scene, Bill Cosby was there and he stared through her. It scared Charlotte half to death. She said she made up her mind that day that she was never going to tell anybody what happened because she was fearful of him. So like I said, that is the last sexual assault story that I want to touch on. But what I do want to talk about is what may or may not have happened on the set of The Cosby Show. Now, I do know that none of the main characters on The Cosby Show accused Bill Cosby of doing any type of assault to them. And I also know that the fact that they didn't accuse him of anything was news to the public, because I know they was waiting on one person to say something, and that was Lisa Bonet. Because, child, let's just go ahead and get to the real deal. There had been rumors and speculations of Bill Cosby sexually assaulting Lisa Bonet years before any of this other stuff came out. And honestly, it was because of how things went down between Bill Cosby and Lisa Bonet. The way that she ended up leaving the show all abruptly like that. Matter of fact, let's kind of talk about how Lisa Bonet left The Cosby Show, or better yet, how she left A Different World. Now, most people say Lisa Bonet was fired because she ended up starring in a movie named Angel Heart, and she had a very graphic sex scene in that movie with actor Mickey Rourke. It's alleged that Bill Cosby was furious that Lisa performed that scene because he felt like the character of Denise Huxtable shouldn't be seen doing something like that. She was a good girl, she was a modest girl, so he felt like the character of Denise would be ruined. But some people believe that's only part of the reason he fired Lisa Bonet, or the reason that they couldn't get along. See, some people speculate that Billy Boy was actually upset because Lisa Bonet was giving other people sexual attention and she wouldn't give any sexual attention to him. And one of those main other people he was jealous of or upset with that was getting that attention was said to be Lenny Kravitz. Honey, these folks speculate that Bill Cosby had actually wanted Lisa Bonet to be his mistress for years. Said that he was trying to do everything in his power to get her to give him some, including buying her things, being very nice to her on the set, just whatever he could to woo her to be his side chick or his mistress, and Lisa never would be that. And allegedly because of this, when Lisa Bonet ended up getting pregnant with Lenny Kravitz and marrying Lenny Kravitz, oh baby, allegedly that really set Bill Cosby off. And if you ask the people why Lisa Bonet never really spoke out or said anything, they will say she gave a hint when Bill ended up getting caught up in all of these allegations with sexual assault. She told the world that, she wasn't surprised by the allegations. She said she felt a sinister energy coming off of Bill Cosby. And ain't nobody asked for my personal opinion on this subject, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it to y'all just because. Do I believe that Bill Cosby was trying to get something from Lisa Bonet? I kind of do, ain't gonna lie, I do. I don't think that he actively sexually assaulted her like he did these other women, but he may have whispered some freaky, inappropriate things in her ear, trying to make her his. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, when it comes down to why Bill didn't sexually assault Lisa Bonet, I feel like it was because she was a regular on his show. See, those other women were like Playboy bunnies, they were dancers or they were part-time actresses. In Bill's eyes, he could do that to them because even if these girls complained or told the world about it, nobody was gonna listen to those girls. But Lisa Bonet, that was a different story. She was a beloved character on his show. The public had built a relationship with her. And so if Bill Cosby ever did put his hands on her, he wasn't stupid. He knew that that girl had one time to speak out and everybody was going to be sitting up there listening to what she had to say and everybody was going to believe her. And so like I said, yes, I do think he wanted something with her, but child, that man wasn't dumb enough to sit up there and take it. And to be honest with you, Lisa Bonet is probably not the only person on the Cosby set that Bill Cosby may have been inappropriate with. And I say that because allegedly somebody who starred on the show came forward anonymously and said in an interview that Bill Cosby was terrible on the set of The Cosby Show. They said that he could act with impunity. So he would talk to people like they were crazy, cursing people out. Allegedly one time he made a black director like sit in the corner or something like that. He just did a lot of stuff. And Bill Cosby being this big powerhouse leads me to my next little subject, because allegedly Bill Cosby was a powerhouse like this because he had elite backers and he knew he could do things and get away with them. Some people feel like these elite backers are the reason that Bill Cosby got caught up in all of these sexual allegations in the first place. They feel like maybe Bill Cosby might have ticked somebody off, maybe he didn't pay somebody. There's all type of theories going around. But unlike the case with Diddy, where I could kind of research that and almost pinpoint a reason or a situation where he might have ticked off his elite backers, I didn't see that with Bill Cosby. I didn't see anything that he may have done outright to kind of tick off the big guys. And the reasons that the conspiracy theory community gives, they just don't make sense to me. Like one reason they gave is allegedly Bill Cosby was trying to buy MSNBC or NBC and said that was the reason that these people wanted to come after him. But if you research that, Bill Cosby allegedly was trying to buy NBC back in 1992. So why would they wait all the way until 2014 to punish him for that? The second reason that the conspiracy theorists give is because they said Bill Cosby was doing too much to try to uplift the black black community. He was going off on black people, telling young boys that they shouldn't sag, telling folks that they need to go to school, stop talking all that slang, telling black men they need to stop hitting black women. Basically, he was just trying to clean up what he saw as wrong with the black community. And according to the conspiracy theorists, that was too much for the elites. And the reason they give for this is because when it comes to the black race, the so-called elites allegedly love to keep the black people ignorant. They love to keep the black people fighting each other. They love to keep the black people in a oppressed state, feeling like they can't do nothing in life. Love to keep the black people in a chaotic and confused mindset, because apparently they have to have a 3-class system, and blacks are the easiest to keep at the bottom of that system. Now, I'm not sure if that is true or not. I don't know if some elites are trying to keep the black race down. I'm not sure. But I know one thing, even if that was the case, Bill Cosby being one man was not doing enough where he was making a big seismic shift in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Him going off on black people didn't make such a big change in black people where the elites would be like, look at him. Those black folks are really listening to him. Like, they might move up the ranks. They can't be the bottom no more. Let's get them. I just don't feel like that's a reason for the elites to set him up per se. But I don't know, child. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm finna move on. To sort of wrap things up, after those 60 or so women came out against Bill Cosby, he ended up standing trial for the alleged assault of Andrea Constand. And her assault happened in 2004. Well, as you all know, Bill Cosby ended up being convicted at this trial, and he was sentenced to prison in 2018. But in 2021, his conviction was overturned. And the reason that they gave for overturning the conviction is because allegedly when the DA was questioning Bill Cosby, getting the information, the DA was promising Bill Cosby, you don't have to worry about us charging you. We're not going to charge you. And actually did charge Bill Cosby and lock him up. And so, like I said, the conviction was overturned. I do know that since Bill Cosby's release, it seems like he's been quiet as a church mouse. Not only him, the rest of his family have too, which is probably for the best. And if you're wondering, Bill Cosby is still alive. He is 87 years old now. Wait. And if you're wondering, Bill Cosby is still alive. He is 87 years old. And this is the end of the old Hollywood scandalous tale of Mr. Bill Cosby. Now, I got to say that this is one that may be redone if more information comes out, because I honestly feel like there is so much more to find on Bill Cosby. So if people get to talking, baby, we're gonna have to do this video over. But as of right now, this is what's out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like the video. Please subscribe. I will see you guys with another video soon. Bye.